That I can lay down with. Said the pic to me, told her that she look astounding. Walked in and she cut it down with. And she like the way I'm well rounded. Don't talk too much. If I'm on the switch, it might be off too much. Shawty, pick your phone up. Pick your phone up, yeah.
Guys, welcome in. It's the Koopa. We're soloing the entire game. The entire world will be soloed because, who else do we really have? Honestly, it's the Koopa, and on that depressing note, we're going into version 3. Holy shit, what am I on? 3.4 right now. Gonna get into some more version 3 analogies. Continuing on with the internet realms theory here, we have our next realm. But before we go there, I'll just give a little story spoiler section as we love to do here. We're going to talk to Estella, then talk to our good old ancient ancestor Orchstov about the new realm. The new realm is the water realm. As well, they need someone to research, investigate what's going on because they can't make it to town or whatever. It's a very strange realm. So we'll go ahead and discuss there, and then head off to the gate in Utopia. Hope everybody's having a good whatever day I upload this on, and of course on the first episodes of these version start parts, I'll just start off with the podcast analogy of what we're doing here. Like, what does the water realm really represent, right? And this is all the internet theory. So we had the fire realm with the spicy stuff, with the porn and all that. Delicious content that we love that just sets you on fire. We got the ice realm, which is the forbidden realm. Also like the lonely realm, the disconnected realm, everything we don't want to talk about. And then you have the dark realm, which is just generally the illegal stuff, the bad things, the things that people tell you are bad, all that bullshit. But then the water realm. What is the water realm? Well, my friend, the water realm delves into more of a drowning nature. The water realm is where all the autistic kids go because basically water means you're flooded, On the internet realms, it means your algorithm just gives you all of the same thing. You're drowned in one form of information, in one form of content, in one thing or another. And I feel like this is where most people get stuck in the internet. We all have our own little echo chambers, and of course all of these realms in themselves are echo chambers, but this is like the echo of the echo chamber. This is where you get trapped in your internet bubble. And suddenly, like for me, for example, suddenly everything on the internet is just like all gaming. It's so funny. Like, sometimes in YouTube they give you like the tabs at the top or whatever, to categorize your videos on the home screen. And so many times, I don't know if this is for you guys too, but so many times when I hit the gaming tab on the YouTube like home feed thing, it gives me like red pill videos and like commentary, and like sometimes they have gameplay behind them, but sometimes they really just don't, and there's just like somebody talking about like how awful the world is, and I'm like, is this really gaming now? Is this what gaming is now? This is what we're doing, huh? Because I feel like life is a game to some extent. It is sort of like something you can meta and grind in and build your stats. And, a lot of people call me weird for this, but I really do see dating and talking to people and relationships in general, building those up, you just get dialogue trees. I see the dialogue trees in my mind, and I'm like, what can I say here? I could say something that makes them happy. I could say something that doesn't make them happy. I could say some sort of middle ground combination of the two. Or I could say something that just kind of throws them off and makes them surprised. Like, why the fuck did you say that? Or I could choose the hidden fifth option of a combination of all that. Make them really go crazy. But yeah, I see the dialogue options regularly. As far as life being gamified goes, it's just in general how it goes. But the internet is it's essentially a giant game, or if you want to look at it more in granular sense, a giant system, a giant factory, a giant school, a giant workplace, one of those things, and this system connects in ways that allow us to sort of ignore or passively ingest the forms of content that we normally wouldn't use. It's kind of like a brain. So yeah, I guess you could equate there's so many analogies for the internet, right? But you can equate the internet to a brain. You know, and in your brain, in your normal brain synapses, you take shortcuts. Everybody takes shortcuts because shortcuts are how we survive. If you didn't take shortcuts in your life and you went through every long way to get through everything, you'd be fucking dead tired by 9 a.m. Which is why I usually take naps in the afternoon because, I have to tell myself, I have to explicitly, hey, DeMarcus, it's time to stop thinking. Otherwise, yeah, the brain will just go on overdrive mode. And of course there are things that I do without thinking, of course. It's just that inner dialogue of me constantly chattering and narrating my fucking life never ends. It's very annoying, except when I do very specific tasks, like when I lock into a flow state on something. Um, sometimes when I'm walking outside, I can kind of just meditate on, nothing for a little bit. Smoking weed, that's one that really, definitely clears the mind. There are certain activities that I can sort of just, decompress with. Shower thoughts too. But yeah, it's a vice to sort of think too much in the way that you're kind of gonna starve yourself of happiness. And so the internet, or your brain, whatever you want to call it, it recognizes this vice and it takes the shortcuts so that you don't have to use your stupid little head, your stupid little mouse to click and find everything you want to find. Because honestly, I've said this multiple times, but I'll say it once more. We don't do what is easy. We don't do what's hard. We don't do, what's long or what's short or what's most efficient or the hardest shit possible. We do what we're used to. We do what comes naturally. We do what we've been doing for the last couple of days or so. It's just it's habit formation. And although they may be hard to break or build, once they are there, you can't really absent-mindedly fight against them, because if you're not in your mind, you're just gonna go into it. So you have to think a lot to fight your habits. And that's how you connect the realms, through thought, through repetition of neurosis. And yeah, this is the water realm. I honestly do love the water realm. It is one of my favorite maps, areas in this game. It's very pretty. And, on top of that, I do feel like I connect with this realm quite a bit in the story of it. The general nature of that story. We're just going to go to town today. We're not going to really get deep into the story. But essentially, guys, this is about someone who can't really communicate, but knows more than they should. And then at the end of the realm, you kind of like understand why they're sort of misunderstood constantly, but only able to be understood by, the one guy who doesn't even really come from here. And you'll slowly start to understand more of why the Water Realm has been led to believe that things that are good are evil, or things that are evil are good. There's a lot of lies going on here, a lot of misconceptions, and I often have this dilemma in myself, in my own head, of the lies I tell to myself, because I feel like I'm a huge hypocrite. But naturally, that's just how you're supposed to feel as an awakened individual. You're supposed to feel like the light and the dark are constantly at odds with one another. And honestly, there's really nothing that's going to bring them to peace besides just acceptance. You're gonna have that dark side, and you're gonna have that light side, and they're going to be at odds with each other, because that's just how the world works. But if you don't worry about that too much, like I said, you let yourself take the shortcuts, you let yourself, do those neuroses, then shit won't be too fucking terrible. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit off base here. The Water Realm, more of an isolated an isolated realm of the internet. I'd say water realm probably more akin to, if we're relating this to a social media app, I'd say probably more akin to maybe a Instagram, YouTube kind of thing, or Reddit. Um, because these are where people just really delve super, super deep into their interests. Google would probably be a good one for the water realm too. A lot of people, just go crazy over Google, but you find that one website, that one place that you just like, this is me. This is the one that I will go back to every fucking day. And yeah, you drown. You drown. That's the nature of the water realm. That's the nature of internet theory. Yeah. And I do believe that it's not unhealthy to do this. You see how the water realm looks. It looks pretty nice, pretty beautiful. I don't think it's inherently a terrible thing to drown ourselves in our interests, and truly make them a part of us. But the problem with the water realm is, you get too deep into your rabbit holes, and then suddenly you don't know what's real, as far as what comes to you in your own echo chamber. Because once again, it is just an echo chamber. Problem with the water realm and getting drowned in our own interests is that we get blinded to everything else, to where, sometimes because you believe in this one thing, you can believe an inherent untruth because the untruthness is connected to the one thing that you love. And it's generally pretty sad, because it's like your identity is getting struck when for example, Nexon lies to us and tells us that those things you've been rolling for this whole time that you thought was fair, it's not fair, motherfucker. It's never been fair. It's never been fair. You've been lied to. And so, a lot of people crash out in different ways. They lash against the system. They say that's not true, or they make other people feel stupid because they feel stupid. Life is a mirror. So if you realize that everything bad that other people do to you is really what they are doing to themselves, or have already had done to them, or have a fear of that thing being done to them, or if somebody makes fun of you for one of your insecurities, just know that is also theirs. You are insecurity brothers now. So because of the mirror nature of life, the water realm is just dangerous. It's just dangerous because people don't realize you can't rely on ego for love. Ego's not gonna love you. Fuck yeah. If we're talking about 2025, girls aren't gonna love you either, nor will guys. But you can't rely on like a thing, like a concept to sustain you. And that's what the world is feeding us. It's like, don't rely on these people to give you love and oxytocin. Rely on these things, guys. Use the water realm. Isn't it beautiful and watery? Don't you love that? Don't we love that? We do. And so, a lot of people are a little misguided. And all it takes is that one event, that one thing to scare you into just a hate-filled rage, and then you get that one crash out, and then suddenly, it's kind of like the whole bridge builder thing. You do 8,000 good things for the community, and then you have one crash out, and suddenly you're the crash out guy. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Look, if you didn't like it, you wouldn't have sucked that one dick, and we would have just kept building bridges, you bitch. But yeah, it's a terrible world we live in nowadays, with the whole social media, the whole elevated levels of attention, because I feel like that is what kind of leads us to the water realm in the first place. It's just the detention from always being on edge, always feeling like we're watched, like the most troglodyte average loser feels like Johnny Depp's like the celebrity, with just the way national surveillance has taken off ever since COVID stopped. I remember just waiting outside to go into like a fucking 7-Eleven, just doing some shit on my fucking phone late at night. Not late at night. It was like fucking 9 or something, but then the sun was down. And then you hear the cops, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Hey, stop what you're doing here. Stop loitering. I'm like, loitering? I'm about to go in. I'm about to get food. But that place got shut down, so there probably were bad people there. Surely, right? But it's just to say, I just say that example to say, people are scareder than ever nowadays. I don't know if it's for good reason. I don't know if we're just stealing now because we can't afford shit. But nevertheless, stealing is on the rise. Crime is, it's not necessary, but it's an easy way to get back at the system that you feel like just doesn't aid you in any way. People are mad. People are mad, and there's not a lot of hope or love out there. So I understand why you kind of want to stick it to the man and not pay for shit anymore. It's really annoying because all these rich elites who make the rules, they don't pay for shit, but they have all the money. Like, how does that make sense? Like, I know so many people rich out their asses who just constantly get sponsors for the stuff that they fucking use. And it's like, yes, pay me to eat this thing that I'm already eating. And I'll just put a camera on myself. Yes, that makes total sense, especially when I make 100K a month. That makes total sense. Makes total sense. And a lot of people see this and naturally get just a little bit pissed off. Just a little bit pissed off, So I don't blame people. But the national surveillance has to come to an end. At some point you're just kind of inconveniencing the people who are trying to do regular shit. It's I'm not saying we just gotta, crime is free now. Yeah, let's go. But I'm saying this crazy policing is not the way to do it, we can actually arrest the criminals, but ain't no room in these jails because a lot of people are jailed for the most retarded shit. Still in there. And perhaps that is not the exact reason, but I just know the incarceration system needs to be reworked because we got a lot of taxpayer dollars going towards some random bullshit. And the crime is still here. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the main issue. But in general, let's get back to water realm shit. In general, the crash outs are because people are so fucking invested in their logs, their ideas, their concepts, their memories, and then one person shows up to challenge those memories, and then a crash out happens. That's what the water realm does to us. We're so deep into the water that when somebody tries to, I don't know, pull us up to the surface, we feel attacked. We feel like, what is this fucking air shit you're trying to give me, you disgusting human being? You don't know how I'll interact with that air. I haven't seen that in years. And people are trying to sustain an unsustainable lifestyle. You understand what I just said there? Let me repeat that shit. People are trying to sustain an unsustainable lifestyle. Really, really hold on to these words, guys. And you have to realize that, whatever we're doing now, if it's not something you see yourself doing for the next 10 years, you should probably, modify it. But a lot of people, they can't even, conceptualize ahead that far. They can't even, 10 years. 10 years? Especially with what's happened in our last 10 years. I think, man, me from 19 to now, he has lived a crazy, 8 lifetimes, which is why I'm so cool to die now. I'm so, I do not want any more of this life. I'm so fucking good. So fucking good. But I feel like that's why people, in general, they can't imagine what the fuck's gonna happen in the next 10 years, because the last 10 years was fucking crazy. The technological advancements, the political climates, the amount of movements, the amount of protests, the amount of wars, you know what I'm saying? I'm surprised we haven't popped off a World War III now. I'm like, just call it World War III, guys. There's fucking 4 wars going on at the same time right now. And half of them they don't even want to tell America about. When we're supposed to be the war country, I'm like, I thought you guys were all about war. What the fuck, man? Why aren't you helping everybody, huh? I thought we had more military, more bombs to bomb the entire world over 8 times. Why aren't you out there in the front lines everywhere? And I'm not even gonna get into all the protests and all the crazy shit happening around the world, Spain, France, UK, all that shit. I'm not gonna get into that because not only am I uninformed because of our stupid American news, that I don't watch. I mean, not only am I uninformed, but I just don't care. I just don't care. And I'm not gonna lie to you and act like I do. Because I fucking don't. I don't live there. You know, some of those things do affect me that come from other countries. You know, and of course, saying I don't care is not like I don't care for other human life. I'm just saying, you know, it's not something that we need to drown ourselves into. You realize if you get into that, is me specifically, I'm just talking about me as a person. If you get into that, you will dive. There's no way to just sort of dip your toe in and feel satisfied. You're going to feel like an idiot if you dip your toe in, and then, you know, you're going to bring that conversation over to someone else and then get re-educated, probably in a brutally mean way because people aren't nice about the way they like to talk about these topics. And yeah, I'd rather just not have that in my scope at all. I'd rather just dismiss people who start talking about it and be like, okay, yeah, that's really bad, and, you know, I hope they're okay. You know, I'd rather just dismiss it with a phrase like that rather than know everything and then just have that in the back of my mind when I try to ignore you or tell you to stop talking, or worse, start engaging in a conversation with you like that. Like, guys, I don't know if we've ever been outside and had a conversation in public about politics, and it ended with both parties being like, oh, you know what, I understand your perspective. You know, that's really wise. You know, you're a cool person. Let's just exchange numbers and, you know, we'll have a nice steak dinner next weekend. Next Friday, we'll meet up. And then it's long-lasting friendship. And you play tennis every weekend. No, that doesn't fucking happen, guys. That doesn't fucking happen. Every time you get in an argument about politics at a random person who is not your friend, sometimes even when they are your friend, you always end up in the agree to disagree area, because being stubborn is such like a virtue nowadays for some reason. Like, nobody values the evolution or somebody changing their opinion or somebody learning facts and being like, oh shit, you're right. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because it's really fucking hard to do, but yeah, nobody values that nowadays. Nobody. Come on, man. Especially not the people actually doing it. They feel like losers. The people who see them do it feel like losers. You know, maybe there's like one or two people who's like, oh, I think that's cool, but do they speak up? No. No. Why would they? They don't need to. That does not give them power. You know, and sometimes if they do, you know, then you're the target now. Which is fantastic. Which is just fantastic. Don't we love that? Don't we love being the target of abuse? That's the only thing guys are really in love with. They just like pain, you know? That's all they do anyways, right? You know, I will say it's not like a dumb line of questioning to say that the guys are just gluttons for punishment. Because the thing is, a lot of girls and people in general don't realize that, like, pain is where the progress is. Like, if you don't hurt, if you don't go through pain, if you don't go through abusive relationships or whatever, you know, you're not gonna grow as an individual, like, at all, you know, if you're not challenged. And I think that's a problem with life. I think the main problem with life and our dating statistic and everything is that just people aren't challenging each other. People are just letting people dive into the water realm and just like, enjoy your water. And then I'll just wave at you from up here on the surface and be like, hey, and then I'll dive in my water. And nobody's gonna try and get you up. Nobody's gonna try and show you what the reality of life is, you know, or actually show you the error of your ways. And if they do, it's always gonna be in a toxic way. Like, I don't understand why we can't just sit someone down and truly love them with our criticism. Instead, we have to like berate people because people just wait too long until it's too late, you know? Until the anger boils over and you're so mad, the whole fucking living room is flooded with this ocean shit and you're just pissed off and you're like, god damn it, all this fucking water, you're over here drowning every day, you can't get out of the water realm, you can't get out of the water realm. And I'm like, Jesus, bro, just chill out, you know, come to their level, please, you know, understand where they're coming from. And also people are fucking dumb. I don't care how obvious you think their toxic behavior is. People are fucking dumb. They don't notice shit. I don't notice shit. You don't notice shit. So, you know, when you're introducing something like a problem that you've had that you haven't really intellectualized fully, you realize this is the first time they're recognizing this. So it just feels different to them. You're just gonna have a different nature of a reaction to that. Because in general, you know, they don't think about every other thing that everybody else is thinking about. I had to really, really think about that, or just really, really take in that knowledge, you know, in a really annoying, I guess, sort of mature way. I hate that word too. Maturity. Because I am that guy. I'm that guy, motherfucker. I think about everybody and everything and everybody's feelings. I'd be walking down the street in the morning on a walk and be like, oh shit, I better cross the street because this one lady might think I'm a little weird for walking behind her. And it's the same thing with all my friends, guys. I constantly think about how they're gonna think about this text message, how they're gonna think about me not showing up to this, how they're gonna think about the timing that I'm showing up to this, how they're gonna think about this phone call, how they're gonna think about me messaging this other person that has nothing to do with them, but they know them. But you know this person, so I have to, you know, I have to think about how you're gonna think about me talking to them. Especially if I care about you. So what did I have to do? What did I have to do because I'm a fucking crazy person? I had to stop caring about people so much and start caring about myself. Wow, novel concept. Also, I went the wrong way. We're going to the water realm for real this time. I know there's a cool cutscene and everything, but I wanted to do it again. Okay, we're about done with this part, mostly because I just want to stop. But yeah, guys, you have to recognize when your care is no longer helping other people and it's only hurting yourself. Like, you may not be hurting other people, sure, but you're definitely not helping yourself. You may even be hurting yourself. And there's no real way to know what people want. There's just a way to accurately tell how to get a pleasing response from people. It's the only thing. It's the only thing. You know, deep down, they can all be just as depressed as you are, but I know how to get that happy response from motherfuckers. It's more of a mirror thing, so all you have to do is act happy, and then you get happy. Fantastic. And now I feel like I am a horribly, horribly incongruent individual, you know, with how much smile I have on outside and how much sadness and anger I have on inside. But you see, I cultivated that life. I don't want a life where everyone around me is this depressing, annoying individual. Who the fuck wants that? I'd rather cultivate an environment where, you know, even if I feel terrible, people still come to me for, you know, light, love, hope, general peace, and general positive vibes. Because that's what I would come to myself for. That's what I would do for myself. It's just, you have to treat yourself like your best friend. You have to, you know, treat yourself like you're a part of this drowning equation instead of being an admirer of it. Because a lot of people treat their vices like they're better than them, like they're above them, like I have to worship the weed. No, man, you have God in you, and the God in you, you know, chooses the slave, willingly or unwillingly. And you, as, you know, working with the God in you, can decide how you feel about that. You know, I'm not saying we can decide our nature. Sometimes, man, sometimes you're just born a degenerate. You know, what can I say? You know, and you can fight that nature. You can kind of try to sort of be not degenerate. But as soon as you know, lean back and be like, oh, thank God I'm not a degenerate anymore. I can just relax into my wholesome nature. Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna relax back into degenerate. So I'm saying, guys, do what you fucking love to do. I recognize in myself that I fucking love working, and that's probably why I'm going crazy in this playthrough now, because I found what works for me in not necessarily a super toxic way, but not necessarily a super you know, workaholic crazy nature kind of way. It just works for me, you know, and ooh, excuse me, I love burpee there. You can find what works for you. It is possible. It is possible. A lot of times we equate what works for us to excuse me. We equate what works for us to what makes us a lot of money. But that's the same thing with the degenerate shit. You know, if you just do what makes you a lot of money, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but hoping to do it forever is kind of dumb. Especially if you don't really like it. Now, if you really like it and it makes you a lot of money, then sure, you can hope to do it forever. But if you don't really like it, just have an exit plan. Don't become too good at anything you hate. You know, you have to have something that gives you purpose and that you actually, like, get up in the morning to do. Because, man, it's just not worth it to live this life that's full of anguish and regret when we're chasing the money, because the money's gonna leave. It always does. Anyone who's gotten money is gonna tell you it just doesn't always flow in at the same rate, it doesn't always flow out at the same rate. And so, if you attach your identity to it, to the money, the numbers, anything, you attach your identity to any of that shit, instead of attaching it to, I'm having a good fucking time right now, you're gonna end up depressed. You're gonna end up depressed and lost, because it's like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What the fuck? Eventually it's gonna happen. Eventually you're gonna wake up and be like, oh shit. Oh shit, we fucked up. But yeah. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. I hope we all realize that we can be something. Remember that I love you, and I hate this world, but I love you, but I hate this world. But you're in the world. So, we have reached an impasse. I don't know. Subscribe. See you later.
Let's go. Shawty, pick your phone up. Pick that phone up for your boy. She want the boy cause I'm feeling outstanding. Buy her a bag cause I'm feeling romantic. Skirt, skirt. Watch that Rari do damage. I made her turn up her standards. Let's go. You know that I'm tryna dive in you. Isn't her cool? Watch me glide with you.